Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I said it last week and I'll say it again. I did not expect the Browns to win in Baltimore, but I do expect them to win at home against Cincinnati and Washington the next 2 weeks. You want to feel old? This year marks the 25th anniversary and season of Art Modell moving the Browns to Baltimore. The record? Well, during that time, Baltimore leads the all-time season series 32 wins and 11 losses. That's a joke. And so are some of the teams that the Browns have put on the field over those years. We've got Bud Shaw here tonight. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Monday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine as we are into our 25th consecutive season and powered by cleveland.com. 25 years, Bud Shaw's been part of most of them, probably 23 of them. We'll say hi to Bud Shaw. We're moving our personnel around. We have a very versatile staff here that we can move around as needed, and Bud Shaw is here tonight. Hello, Bud.
Les, good to see you. I'm in a remote location in beautiful Indiana, visiting family today. I've done a few shows from here before. I've probably done a few shows from here right after the Browns have lost the season opener, since they've done that 21 times now in 23 years.
All right, what do you make of the game yesterday? I mentioned in the open I didn't expect to win, but I expect them to be a little more disciplined.
Well, I think there have been some predictable season opening losses. I would say Chris Palmer facing the Steelers in the first game in '99 would be at the top of that list. Probably when Hugh Jackson took that team, Untitled, probably thought they would lose that game too. This one I would put third, just because of the opponent they were playing, and the fact that in having a new head coach with no exhibition games, I thought was a real tough thing to overcome. That said, they didn't have to look so bad doing it.
All right, did you think that Baker Mayfield played particularly well, particularly not well, or okay?
No, I didn't. And I think if they had come away with a loss and you thought, hey, the Browns matched the Ravens offense point for point, or if not point for point, quarterback for quarterback, if you came away saying the Browns defense, their run defense was so good that is a good omen for the rest of the season. The play calling was so good, the discipline was but none of those things happened. So I'm not sure how you can walk away from this feeling okay, even though we expected that this was going to be a tough challenge for this team to win in Baltimore against a really, really good Ravens team with a terrific coach.
I got messed up a little bit today, because usually at the end of a game or during a game, I know when something happens on the spot. I have a pretty good idea that was a key play or not a key play, and I think I've missed totally on today, because I think that the fake punt was a horrible play. And listening to radio today, people just thought it was just another play, not a big deal. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. But I think at the time of the game, the situation of the game, the players in the game, the fact that it's the first, the players check out coaches too. We always think that coaches just worry about what players are going to do. I think that veteran players look over coaches and want to see how they handle situations in a game. And I would think that the veterans who play with the Browns did not like the fact that he called for a fake punt at that time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it looked out of place, right? And the reward for converting the first down wasn't that great. It's not like, as you and I talked, it's not like it puts you in certain field goal position. It's not like it ties the game if you go ahead and knock in a touch, ties the game in a real critical part of the game. I didn't get it, and I don't think it's something that they'll hold against Stefanski. But if they start out 1-3 or 2-4 or 2-5 like they have in past years, and there are more of those kinds of questions, I think, or more of those kinds of calls, then I think it'll become a question, just as it has for Freddie Kitchens and other guys. You know
Yeah,
that
yeah, and
that's what
we
everybody
we
looks at.
we
We all talk about how Stefanski looks the part. He won the press conference. He looked the part. He's more organized than Freddie. He's more this. He's more that. He's more experienced. But until he starts making calls on game day that you can see the logic to them and the potential reward to them, then people are going to question it, and that's going to happen in his locker room too.
Yeah, this is happened in quarter number one of game number one. I just thought there was more to it than possible. The other thing is, if that's his signature call, if he gets the job of play calling, based on he's that good at making play calls. If so, you may as well just let the ball boy make up plays.
Well, it sounds to me less like you're not only ready to fire the kicker, but you're also ready to fire the play caller.
Yeah, and they didn't they were in a hurry, I think, to get rid of Austin Seibert, who missed a field goal, also missed an extra point, so he gets shipped out, and Cody Parkey comes in, and here's Cody Parkey. He played with the Browns a little bit, 7th season in the NFL, 102 field goals made, and there you see it, Cody Parkey. Somebody told
Yeah.
me he was in Berea the whole time waiting.
Well, none of us saw camp as that closely this year. It certainly wasn't open to the public, so it's hard to know whether he went in on a short leash to this game, Seibert did or not. It certainly seems knee jerk to replace him unless he had a really bad camp, which I can't say that I know whether he did or didn't.
Well, again, the specialty. If you're not going to be great, if you're a young team and you're not going to, and I don't consider this a young team. I don't care what the numbers are. They got a lot of veterans and a lot of good veterans. But if you're not going to be good offensively or defensively, there's no reason why you can't be good in special teams. And that was not the case. I mean, they had in the one quarter they had a missed field goal, missed extra point, the fake punt, and you got to do better than that.
Yeah, I mean, another argument for not calling a fake punt is that you're playing against one of the teams in this league and I don't know what the Pro Football Focus numbers are on this, but their reputation is such that of having a really good special teams year in, year out. They may have some down years, but they don't last very long when they do.
216-575-0403 is the number to call if you want to get in and talk to Bud Shaw. So the Browns do waive off Austin Seibert, and they pick up Cody Parkey. I think I saw that Seibert's brother just signed on to be a kicker with Akron U in the next year. So at least it's still in Northeast Ohio. David Njoku is placed.
What's Phil Dawson doing these days?
What's that?
What's Phil Dawson doing these days? I'm sure Browns fans will start calling for the return of Phil Dawson if Cody Parkey doesn't work out.
No question about it. David Njoku is placed on the IR. He'll miss at least 3 games with a knee injury, 3 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown Saturday. I'm thinking, or Sunday rather. I'm thinking he makes a good wide open catch for a touchdown, and I'm thinking the only guy who doesn't want to be here is the guy who catches the touchdown pass.
Yeah, well, now in his defense, Les, he has changed his tune, right? He does want to be here.
Of course.
At least that's what his agent told him to say.
Yeah. Also, well, there's some other injury stuff that we'll talk about a little bit later. 216-575-0403. You can email us during the show at reallesLevine@gmail.com. And we'll talk about your reaction to yesterday's game and what's happening to the Indians, which is not a lot good. That is for sure. And we'll come back. We'll find out your thoughts about yesterday. But we've had some tough shows because of the situation here, the shutdown and all that. This might not be a tough show to do today.
But my experience has been that Browns fans get pretty worked up, whether it's the first game of the season or the 10th game of the season. So I can't wait to hear what people think.
Speaking of that, tomorrow night Daryl Ryder will be here, and other than Paul Hoynes, there's nothing better than a ticked-off Daryl Ryder. So you want to listen to that tomorrow. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more sports and less Levine with new content posted each and every day. We are powered by cleveland.com. Bud Shaw and I return in a moment. More sports and less Levine. 216-575-0403.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Yeah, I don't think he was forcing the ball. We didn't connect, obviously, as much as we would like to. I think it's a combination of things, and you got to really start with them, give them credit. They made some plays, a couple balls I'm sure Baker wants back, a couple routes I'm sure Odell wants back. But that's the nature of this thing. We just got to make sure we work real hard this week and then get out there Thursday night and put our best foot forward.
Hey, Kevin, when it comes to Odell, do you feel like you're still trying to figure out the best ways to use him?
I think we got a pretty good feel for Odell and his skill set. I mean, he's a talented football player, so it's our job to put him in position to make plays. Are we going to learn about him and what he's comfortable with, what we're comfortable with throughout the season? Yes, so that'll grow, but I think we have a pretty good sense of it right now.
And you've talked a lot about players, not plays. So at some point yesterday when he didn't have a catch, did you say, okay, now we got to figure out a way to involve Odell?
Well, I just look at it in that way, Scott. He's a good football player, so we want him to touch the ball. I think that's good for us. So we're mindful of all of our players in terms of how they're touching it. There were opportunities early where the coverage took it away or somebody else was open, those type of things. But he's a good football player, so I don't think it's newsworthy that he's a focal point of our offense.
Well, Baker Mayfield, there you go, 10 targets at Beckham, 3 receptions, just 22 yards. But are you at the point where you watch Beckham and you now see what, I don't want to say what the problems were, but the fact that there have been problems wherever else he's been? Do you see that beckoning here?
I don't think we can attach his production to his, unhappiness or his personality and the way he responds to things on the field at times. I think a lot of what he did back in New York in that light was after touchdowns, and it was kind of a look at me kind of player. I do think it's alarming though that these guys have had this much time together now, he and Mayfield, and we're still seeing some of the same issues that we saw last year. A lot of that got chalked up to injury, and I don't think that was a fair way to assess it. And I think this is pointing to that.
No, he had a big miss yesterday. Should have been a first down. His first reaction was to look at Baker like it was a bad pass. It wasn't a great pass, but it was certainly a pass that's in the NFL that's got to be caught.
Well, I get a little worried when I hear, guys like Keyshawn Johnson or whoever, kind of the big wide receiver talent guys who are no longer playing, when they start talking about how, Mayfield is the one that made Beckham look bad last year. I start thinking, I wonder where they're getting that from. Are they getting that from independent film study, or are they talking with other guys, receivers that in the league, if not Beckham himself? So that does nobody any good when that starts happening, because then then the quarterback feels even more pressure to get the ball to Beckham. And I thought that was one of the big issues last year, is that Beckham wasn't healthy, maybe wasn't running great routes, and still Mayfield felt the pressure to get him the ball, especially as games went on when he couldn't get him the ball. So they got to figure. I mean, he's just got to be part of the offense here. He's a great player, but you can't play the game that way. You can't play the game trying to force a guy into the offense. We've seen that happen here before.
If you're waiting to hear the dumbest question on the show, this will be it, so you can turn something else on after. Is it possible that the Browns have an embarrassment of riches at certain skill positions? In other words, might they be better off not worrying about Beckham and start worrying about the two-prong running attack and the short passing game with the tight end and the fullback? Or do you think they should double up everywhere they can?
Well, I think it's an unrealistic thing to build your team that way. And I felt that same way when they traded for Beckham and when they signed Landry. You're talking about two huge, Landry not so much, but you're talking about a lot of money tied up at that position. And I just don't see teams built that way anymore in this league. So I think that it can be a little counterproductive from an organizational standpoint. If the head coach can figure out how to make everybody happy on the field, then I think it can work. But it does take guys. You don't have to have Nick Chubb's personality to accept somebody else coming in and getting the ball all the time. But it certainly helps to have guys that know what their roles are, and starring roles at the same position are not always a way to go about it in the NFL, in my experience.
Kareem Hunt had, to me, his first step is unbelievable, how fast he is.
Yeah, unless, I don't know what they were thinking when they signed him to, I thought it was a very I don't want to say team friendly, but yeah, I thought it favored the team when they signed Kareem Hunt to the deal they did. But I also think it gives them that option that if Nick Chubb, whoever, I don't know who his agent is or whether he has an agent, but if he's going to look for, big money, and he probably deserves it, that's how good he is, they may feel that they have a guy that they can, that if they don't want to keep Chubb at that position at that cost, that they have a guy that they can turn to and still get huge production out of. And I think Hunt's that guy now. And I hope that he keeps himself straight so that he keeps being that guy, because it would be a good story if he did turn it around.
All right. There is a guy who is on the clock right now, and his name is Baker Mayfield. What did you think of the performance yesterday? Not more than just stats. What did he look like to you?
Well, again, I think he looked more like last year's Baker than he did end of rookie year Baker. He seems like he's getting confused after his initial read. He still leaves the pocket more than he probably has to. I thought that first year, even though he was running a little bit more as a rookie, I thought he moved around in the pocket better than he has since that first year. So I don't know what to attribute that to. I don't know if if he's took more snaps from center yesterday, has trouble at his size, seeing the middle of the field when he's dropping straight back. But I didn't think it was a very promising performance by him, and I understand that they didn't have games together in the preseason to work on what Stefanski wants, but it's probably going to be slow to arrive, whatever they're trying to accomplish.
Well, he was 21 of 31 yesterday. Stats that doesn't look too bad, but what hurt him was the timing. If you're going to throw an interception, your first possession of the game is not a good one to have it happen.
Yeah, I just, I saw, being in Indiana, I saw more of the highlights now of the Colts loss to the Jaguars. Phillip Rivers was something like 30 for 36, which you would say is an amazing day. But he went under pressure. He threw 2 terrible interceptions that cost him the game. And I think the numbers I saw from Pro Football Focus on Mayfield were, and I'm sorry if you did flash them on the screen, because I was talking to you, Les, and you're so mesmerizing that I didn't really look at the actual numbers. But they had him when he was under pressure. It's something like 2 for 10 for 25 yards. I mean, you got to be better than that in the NFL, or you're never going to win more than you lose.
216-575-0403. If you'd like to talk to Bud Shaw, you can do that. You can also email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. Mike Macedo will join us in a couple segments or so. And tomorrow night, Daryl Ryder from 92.3 The Fan will be here. Wednesday night, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. And then Thursday, Andy Baskin will join us as we fill up the week talking football. Also baseball, if you want to have anything to say about what's going on in the playoffs. Hard to believe the Indians may be one of the first ones to clinch a playoff position, no matter how badly they are playing right now. We have it listed as a bright spot, Bud, that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Did you see any cracks between the two? I think they worked as much as you can work together. I thought they did.
No, I think you have that's a situation where you have 2 personalities that aren't going to be a problem, I don't think. Now, you'd like Chubb to have more carries than that, obviously.
Chubb with 10 carries for 60 yards.
Yeah, but no, I think these 2 guys have a chance to mesh together pretty well.
All right, we'll come back in a moment. We'll continue talking to Bud Shaw. If you'd like to call, you lines are open. If you'd like to get in, Northeast Factory Direct, 3 great locations, plus the website. You don't want to miss that. And the total price guarantee for 1 year, that's at Northeast Factory Direct. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine is powered by cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
We're going to open it up for some baseball talk in a minute. Time for a How Come Quickie. How come it's impossible to throw away an old garbage can? Bud, do you ever have that experience? You want to throw it away and they won't let you?
Yeah, I've tried that a few times, Les. That was a quickie, and you know what I really liked about that one?
The speed,
The brevity,
the
absolutely.
brevity and speed involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost used a sure-footed one, which is how come if you buy a bag of small bags, they ask you if you want to put it in a small bag. That's one of my top 10 favorites of all time.
If I had a magic marker right now, I'd give that at least an 8.0.
Oh, there's no question about it. 216-575-0403. I wonder if Mr. Gullible's popping in with questions or quickies. And somebody must alert Devin down in Concord that we've moved you to Mondays for a couple of weeks. I hope he's okay with that information. I hope it doesn't
I
mess up.
can't remember the last time we talked to him, but did he feel pretty good about this game coming up or not? I can't remember.
About the Ravens game?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think so. Truth be told, who would have thought, seriously, with all the items stacked against the Browns for this, how would anybody really think they're going to pull off a win? The only way you do that is if Baltimore doesn't show up.
Yeah, listen, and you know, you're walking back into a stadium where you beat them last year, and that you know that Harbaugh had mentioned that a few times. So, you know, not that there was a big score to settle because the Browns are, you know, their chief rival in the division. They're not, but you know that was part of it. They wanted to make sure that didn't happen twice in a row. And
well, not only that, that's the first week of the season. So to look how to retrieve that loss, you're looking all the way down to next season.
You know, that the thing about continuity, Les, is that, you know, these grudges and these motivations kind of build over a course of time when you have the same coaching staff and the same players. And you know, the Ravens, they don't look at going 14-2. They look at losing the first week of the playoffs, and that's got to be a big motivation for them. They lost in the first week of the playoffs with a 14-2 record,
Yeah.
and a first game for them, I mean, and the NFL MVP at quarterback. So they feel like, as everybody else is looking at them saying, wow, they were overachievers last year, they probably can't keep it up. They feel like they underachieved, and that's going to be a thing that they carry with them. I'd be very surprised if we didn't see a similar season from them this year.
No, there's a lot of stuff you can bring up in locker room talk and all, but one that doesn't work anymore is the fact for Browns players to be told about the Browns Cleveland losing the Browns to Baltimore. I don't think that means a thing to anybody. Again, this is 25 seasons since Art Modell pulled the plug on it. And
yeah, it doesn't. And you know, if they felt in some way, if there were players in this locker room that felt like they made progress in closing the gap on the Ravens last year because they beat them once and they played them fairly well for a while.
Had a chance. Yeah, they had a chance.
Yeah. Some of that gets lost or watered down because you're now putting in a new offense and you now have new coaches and you have another. And I'm not arguing in any way for them to have kept Freddie Kitchens. I want to be very clear about that. I'm just saying that these are things that happen when you keep changing personnel and coaching staff as often as this organization has.
All right, we don't know. I can say all day long that on paper this should happen or shouldn't happen, but you got two games here that are really, you know, you talk about the Browns and you don't want to really say winnable games because there's really no such animal. But these are winnable games. You got Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, who's going to be terrific, but not yet. And you've got the Washington football team, or whatever they're calling themselves this week. And you should win. It should be 2-1 at that point, and you're right back in the hunt.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think we've talked about how we don't know how this team would react, or this organization, we should say, to getting off to great starts or even good starts in this league. Because then things start to build, you know, confidence builds. Nobody's second guessing each other. Guys that might not be happy with their role aren't speaking out about it because their team is winning. And we just haven't seen that happen very often in this town. Now, Washington is one of these teams that I think is, at the end of the year, they're going to look back and say it's one of the worst organizations and worst teams in football in 2020. They happened to win last week against a Philadelphia team that almost had you and me playing the offensive line. So I think that you're right in saying that these are two games that this organization should get. And if they only get one of them, it's going to be a big disappointment.
Yeah. And of course, Washington coached by Ron Rivera, and we all know what's happening there. So that'll be interesting to see how the team handles that situation. Let's turn to baseball for a couple of minutes. Indians are in the midst of a 6-game losing streak with that pitching staff, I would have never thought I'd say 6-game losing streak for them, but that's what's happening. The offense has been terrible. How do you explain that other than you knew going in there's 2 or 3 players playing the outfield who are not necessarily major league hitters?
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to ask you if you thought that this, a week ago people were talking about the Indians having a 99% chance of making the playoffs. And we know they're going to. And does the team know they're going to and doesn't feel the pressure of a so-called pennant race this year? I can't tell if that's involved in this or if they're just offensively, they're just finding their water again, where they, the watermark where they should be. They're not a great offensive team. They're not a terrible offensive team. But that's going to be the reason why they don't win it if they don't win it this year.
And look at the teams they'd have to face, which, about 3 weeks ago you'd say, bring them all on. We don't care. We'll beat them all. But now look at that. Cleveland in the 8th spot now as far as that playoff is concerned. It's my understanding, assuming that holds up this way, the Indians will play their games in Chavez Ravine. Is that what you understand in Los Angeles?
Chavez Levine, I think.
Yes, it is. That's the West Coast version. Excellent. So, 9.5. Well, what do you think? I mean, is this the pitching staff that just isn't the pitching staff anymore, or it's the hitting that's keeping it that way?
We see the dangers of relying too much on pitching, and are you gonna feel really good handing the ball to Bieber? Absolutely. Are you gonna feel really good handing the ball to Blizak? Okay. Carrasco? Savali? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to find another team in the league that has 4 strong starters, and I don't know that this team. I mean, maybe we've just overrated some of the young guys, not Bieber excluded. I mean,
yeah, but also
the guys,
go ahead.
When you trade, Kluber and Bauer and Clevenger, and not that they've all been great since the trades. It's still it does, it strains your starting pitching.
Sure.
It has to some extent.
No question about it. And actually, you're not expecting your pitchers to go 9 innings anymore. You're going for that quality start, and the Indians are struggling coming with the bullpen, not necessarily the closers or the savers, but you give up 1 run in the 6th inning, that could be the telling blow.
Absolutely. I mean, they've got time again, and we know that they're going to be there. They're going to be involved, and people will make the argument that all you have to do is get in and all of that again. But it helps to get in when you're playing well, I think. It's hard to suddenly start hitting against the quality of pitching that you're going to see in the playoffs.
Yeah, and also you're going to see in the playoffs, you're not going to have the home field advantage if there was such a thing. And so Cleveland's going to have to struggle that way also. So it looked good a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't look right now, but you're right. There's still some time to get it done. They currently hold the 8th seed in the playoffs. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. We post the question in the morning. You respond all day long. We read it on the air. It's about as simple as can be. Facebook.com with new content posted exclusively right here on and powered by cleveland.com. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues into its 25th consecutive year.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Terrible day in sports history. 1994, the MLB owners vote to cancel the remainder of the 1994 season. Looked like the Indians were making a run at it. They were one game behind the Chicago White Sox, and it never happened. It also threw off the rest of the sequence over the years because the home team advantage originally went to the American League in the even-numbered years, and that got changed because of the cancellation. Larry Brown coached at all levels, was born on this date. Lauren Order, born on this date also. Tim Wallach, Jimmy Butler, Cody Anderson, and Deshaun Watson, all celebrating birthdays on the 14th of September. 216-575-0403 is the number to call right now at Smiley One, making it very easy to invest in a new heating or cooling comfort system without breaking your budget. For a limited time, you can take advantage of the special financing for 36 months on selected Bryant high-efficiency equipment and make it easy on your family to stay comfortable all year long. Call Smiley One for further information. Let's go from Smiley One. We'll go to Nature Stone, and we're going to say, wow, it's not a floor.
It's Nature Stone.
It's Nature Stone. How many times do you stop? Are you at like a light on a main street and you stop and people knock on your window and say, wow, it's Nature Stone?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing a whole commercial on that, just go, as I drive around, people just stop me and say, no, I don't think I'm at that celebrity status like some people I know quite yet. Les,
well, I am. I'll tell you what happened. Hey, Bud Shaw is here. Say hi, Bud.
Hey, Bud. How you doing?
Don't kid yourself. You're at least as popular as Kanye.
Hi.
I can run for president then.
So this lady's in a car. It's a 2-lane highway. There's an island in between. And she pulls up and stops at the light. And I look at her license plate as I'm pulling up on the right side of her. And it says, Deja Vu. Okay? So I look at it and I knock on my window and I have her roll hers down. And I say, excuse me, but I thought for a moment, it seemed like that I've seen that license plate before. And she looked at me like, what are you, nuts? So let me tell you something. If you have a license plate that has some kind of meaning or a joke, if you don't know the joke, don't wear the plate.
Don't get it, right? Why do you get it if you don't like the joke? That's a good one.
I go, deja vu. She says, what the heck are you talking about, sir?
Maybe it was a stolen car.
It could have been. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd rather talk about that than what the Indians are doing right now, but I've used up my time. Mike, what is happening to your Cleveland Indians?
Geez, oh man, I mean, I'll tell you, in the beginning of the year and towards the middle of the year, because it's such a short season, they were getting by with their pitching, and they were hitting, when they needed to, but they still weren't scoring a lot of runs. Now you've got all phases of the game not working for them. So they're not pitching. They're not playing good defense at all. I mean, their defense has been atrocious, and they were one of the top defensive teams in the league. And if you're not going to pitch and you're not going to play defense, then you better darn well hit. And they can't score runs.
Well,
they just don't have the offense to put runs on the board right now.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of craning their necks as the ball's going into left center into the stands. They're following the flight path on that pretty well.
Well, yeah, and you saw earlier in the year, that their pitching was so dominant, and you just thought that, wow, if this sort of stays the course, then they're going to have a shot to win the whole thing. But it's not. Is it a case of I'm watching Kareem the other day, who I think is a phenomenal pitcher, and he's going to be great. He threw 8-10 breaking balls in a row and couldn't throw one of them for strikes.
Yeah.
Have they just basically assumed that they're going to get the wild card because of how far ahead they were of everybody else? That they're just trying to work on things with people at this point? I really don't know.
I would hope not, because I'd like to see them in game conditions doing what they need to do. But how much do you attribute this, if any, to Terry Francona?
I don't know, Les. We talked about that when it first happened, when he was gone for a few days, and since then they had turned it around and were playing quite well with Sandy there. So I don't think it's a big factor, and that's not to downplay the contributions he makes, but I just think that this is a tight enough organization that I'm sure his feedback is still there, even if he's not in the dugout.
Mike, what do you think they do? Just play out the string and see what happens, see where they fall, or do you? I saw they're going with Lindor leading off. It may be too little, too late on that one. But are there any other changes you see that Sandy might make just to shake things up a little bit? I've always thought if a manager just shakes things up, he's not doing a good job as a manager.
Right. Yeah. There's not a whole lot that you can shake up with this team. It kind of is what it is. Their position players are who they are, and they need to start to take ownership themselves and start hitting the baseball again and putting runs up on the board. And their relief pitching primarily. I mean, their starters have been okay, but their relievers, they've got to improve. They've got to get back to what they were doing. A point that Bud made about Terry and Sandy. I just to give you one more thought on that. I think that if this year the COVID issue wasn't there, I think it would be a bigger deal, because they'd have a lot of other outside distractions. And I don't know that Sandy, being that he's a first-year manager, would be able to deal with that sort of stuff. But being that the COVID is there, they actually don't have a whole lot of outside distractions. They're supposed to be staying, by themselves, and quarantining as much as possible. And when they're on the road, it's basically just them, the whole thing. So there's not a whole lot going on. It's kind of like, hey, get out there, get your work in, and go play ball. And so I think Sandy's doing about as well as he can do, and he's probably getting a whole heck of a lot of feedback from Terry Francona. So I don't know that would play a role in it, but I think guys just need to start stepping up and playing ball. There's too many guys on this team who are not playing at their potential, at their level of play where they've been at for a number of years, and they need to start to get there. Santana, Lindor. Lindor can't get hot for 2 weeks and then stop hitting. He's got to be the Mike Trout of his team. He's got to carry them. He's got to put them on his back, and he's got to start playing better. And that's really what it comes down to.
Mike, I think you make a great point. If you go up and down the lineup and say, okay, is this guy playing at the level he should be, less than it should be, more than it should be? I can't think of anybody who's playing above their level right now. It looked like Reyes for a while, but that stopped. Perez is kind of a lost cause there. I don't know if he's hurt, but they don't have anybody playing above their level.
No, and they've got all-stars. I mean, Lindor's an all-star. Hernandez is a borderline all-star. Ramirez is an all-star. Santana is an all-star. They're playing well below that level. So it's not like they don't have the talent there and they don't have the guys with the track record. They're just not getting it done. And at some point they need to take ownership of who they are and say, hey, we need to start to step up and play. The funny thing is that they're so far ahead in terms of the wild card with the way the playoff is set up. They'll probably sneak in with the wild card if they just if they finish the season at below 500. If they finish the season at whatever 9-11 or however many games they have left.
And by the way, Bud just suggested this, and he's absolutely right. The Indians, assuming it finishes the way it does, they'll be playing in Los Angeles at Chavez Levine, and we want to make sure that we get that name out there where the Indians come close to clinching a pennant at Chavez Levine.
Well, they've got to change that name out there. That's definitely first and foremost.
It's only a couple of letters. What the heck? What's the big deal? Hi, Mike.
The best thing for Mike's sake is that he talked about the Indians and he didn't have to talk about the Ravens-Browns game. So he should consider.
I was hoping you would not. Although that did bring a little bit of a sense of normalcy to an otherwise wild world.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Did they win a game or two in the next two? You got Cincinnati and Washington. Did they win them both?
Well, they should. I mean, they're much better than both of those teams. But my goodness, with the way they play, they're Bud. I think it was last week we were talking about this. Made a lot of comments about their defense, and I disagree with them. I agree with them now. They got a lot of injuries, and their defense is very porous. But they've got at every level. I mean, they're just an injured group, and they don't have their starters out on the field. It's going to be tough for them to stop anybody.
Let me tell you what they got right. You ready? People think I'm negative. They got right. Those uniforms are great. No, I mean it. I love. I just wonder if on Throwback Weekend if they wear their old ones or these. All right, Mike.
I'm with you.
All right, it's not floor. What is it?
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
You're the best. Thanks, Mike. Mike Massetta of Nature Stone.
Take care.
Thank you. But do they win them both?
I think so, Les. Yeah, I mean, I like Burrow too. I think you put it the right way, though. It's too early for him. It's a tough league for a rookie quarterback, and especially for one that's joining a team that's, on the rise, but nowhere near as good as it needs to be. So I think that's a game that the Browns win at home. And then I just believe that Washington's one of the worst teams in the league. And until I see them pull off another win against somebody with a healthier team, then I'm going to continue to believe that.
Northeast Factory Direct, 3 great locations. They've got them east, west, and to the south. The south, of course, Macedonia. Check out the website, northeastfactorydirect.com. Bud Shaw and I return in a moment. We are powered by cleveland.com.
Never replace your basement flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Pearl Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Hi, welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine. Well, guys, another year, another opening day loss for the Browns. National media took to Twitter to respond to how the game went yesterday. First off, Sam Munson of Pro Football Focus, he went on to say, Baker Mayfield is broken. The Ravens are a terrible team to try and piece them back together against, but they're just stomping on the pieces at the moment. Then you go to Mark Sessler of NFL Network. He says the Browns have been outfoxed, outclassed, and out-imagined by the Ravens in an ugly opener to date. Then you go to Brett Okamoto of ESPN. says that the Browns have the first interception thrown, fumble loss, and missed point after attempt of the 2020 season. Dan Orlovsky, former quarterback and ESPN analyst, says Baker Mayfield, you used to be super accurate. What happened to that? Stop thinking you're Russell Wilson and running nonstop. Your style for success needs to be more like Drew Brees. Former Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar says, painful day for the Browns. Go Browns. And Drew Carey responded to that. You misspelled decade. So, Les, Bud, if it's the first game of the Browns-Ravens, any indication on what's to come? Or do you expect the Browns to rebound and win against Cincinnati?
Well, first of all, before we do that, I just want to wish, on behalf of Bud Shaw and myself, want to wish Brian a very happy birthday. Brian, thanks for all you do for us.
Thank you so much, guys.
See, Bud, no present necessary.
Correcting Drew Carey, I would say that he misspelled quarter century. That's what it's been 25 years now, pretty much, of watching this kind of performance in a season opener. So
You'd think it would have to go away, don't you?
What's that?
You'd think it would just have to go away just by virtue of being there so long.
Yeah, somebody would find a way to win, right? Like somebody would find a way to come out of training camp like ready to play. And a lot of times these teams have not looked ready to play.
Yeah.
Does Stefanski have a built-in excuse given what happened in this offseason? Probably. But it's a concern. I thought that they were an 8-8 team. So I guess the answer to Brian's question would be that I still think they're going to be that.
Right, and if they win these two, they're right where you want to be.
Right, they're right in that mix there, yeah. So that's what I expect to happen. There's still a lot of talent on this team. Whether it's playing together right now or whether it's all healthy is another matter, but there's still talent there. It's not like they've stripped it down like they did a few years ago. They've been spending time and money building it back up, and I believe that there's still going to be a 500 team that's competitive in the division.
Bud, we keep moving you around, but Devin in Concord keeps finding us. Devin, go ahead. You're on with Bud Shaw.
Impressive.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing, Devin?
Tell me you guys don't feel like Bill Murray after another opener.
They're not going to sell beer at the stadium. They lost the opener.
Yeah. It's Groundhog Day every time. I mean, every time. It's unbelievable. You know, and it's really been, like, I think about it, other than a couple Butch Davis and then Romeo Cornell with Anderson the one year, I mean, I literally take naps during the game. It's that kind of a just not exciting. Like you used to have your buddies over, you bring wings and pizza and stuff. No one even gets together anymore.
No. I think this sums up the 25 years here. That when Chris Palmer was here, he had a chance to. The Browns had the ball at midfield and they were down by more than one score. But if they got the touchdown right then, they'd have been right back in the game. The game had changed a little bit, and he decided not to do it. And I asked him, or somebody asked him after the game, why didn't you take a chance and do something when the ball was in midfield? He said, well, how would I explain a big loss to my owner? And my answer was the same way you would explain a little loss to your owner. I mean, when you're dealing with people who give you answers like that, they don't deserve to win football games.
Palmer was the runaway train, and that guy was he was Huey-esque, you know.
Huey-esque.
But hey, Bud, you know, it was a brutal loss for you yesterday against the Washington team. You know.
No kidding.
Did you watch it?
I didn't.
Okay, because I mean, I don't see how we can beat them even. Because didn't they kill Wentz?
Yeah, I mean,
like 8 sacks or 9 sacks.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. The offensive line of the Eagles was really banged up. They had backups at more than a couple positions. So you'd like to think that the Browns will fare a little bit better, but it's not going to be. Listen, we think that they should win against these two teams, but they're not going to do to either of these teams what the Ravens did to them. Based on what we saw on Sunday.
You know how when the schedule comes out, we play the schedule game and we say, well, the Browns will win this, the Browns will lose that, they'll win this. You know that at every city in the NFL that does the same thing, Not one team has ever been, not one guy has ever picked the Browns to win a game.
Right, we're always lost.
Yeah.
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 All right, the Browns, all right, that's a win. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to lose to the Patriots. We're going to lose to the Browns. Let's see who we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devin, I got to move. Gotta
Hey,
go.
real quick though,
Yeah.
Bud, you had to have loved Sunday night because Dallas lost.
Anytime they lose.
Anytime they lose is okay with me. No question
Right,
about that.
right.
Thanks.
All right, guys.
Great to talk to you,
Later.
Devin.
See you,
Facebook question, what's your biggest takeaway from week one's loss? Glenn Berger, the biggest takeaway, they couldn't stop the Ravens. Ravens were wide open. Glenn, we just got your donation for the Parkinson's walk. We came in late. We appreciate it very much. Sorry I haven't gotten the thank you note out to you yet. Larry Pantasia says, Game 1 showed we can't catch, can't kick, can't stay healthy, can't call trick plays. At least the 1960 uniforms look good, even though Bill Glass, Vince Costello, and Paul Warfield were not wearing them. Dennis Quigney, way on their way to a 14th straight losing season. Josh Woodward says, even though taking into account all the circumstances going against the Browns, they managed to look like the same old failing team. While I think they deserve a mulligan for this game in particular, too many mental lapses on the players and the coaches' sides. Quickly, Dan Gillespie looked like a Hugh Jackson team combined with a Freddie Kitchen team for this performance. Wayne Richard Lyons says, same story, same cast, coaching-wise. Shocking to see how nothing seemed to work on both sides of the ball. Pete Franklin used to ring a bell when he felt the Indians were out of the race. I know he'd have a funeral for them. Time to bring that bell out if they lose at home on Thursday. Tim Ross, biggest takeaway, especially for my birthday, which falls at the beginning of September. When I blow out the candles, I wish for a Browns win. Starting to think it's not really going to work. Tim writes in at the age of 73. Let's take a break. We're coming back one more time. I think we have some quickies, more sports and less Levine, powered by cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature's Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature's Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature's Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Daryl Ryder will be good tomorrow, I guarantee that. From 92.3 The Fan, you see us Monday through Friday from 6 until 7 Eastern Time. And you can find us, you can archive us. You can also find us at cleveland.com. Hey, Bud, before we do quickies, I want to, this is a serious quickie note, and that is, we're looking for John Patrick. John was a constant contributor to us on quickies. We haven't heard from him. If somebody can just get the word to us that he's okay, we'd appreciate that very much. So instead of John Patrick, we have a double header, double dipping from Mr. Gullible. Ready?
Gully? You mean Gully?
Gully. Our man Gully. How come if my mouth waters when I grill a steak, does a vegan do the same when he mows his lawn?
Huh. All right. I didn't see it coming, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm minus a marker and a pad here, but I'm going to give that a 7.0.
That's pretty good, 7.0. How come a woman never tells her age and a man never asks his? Let me repeat that.
Well, I'm going to give the reading of that a 4.0.
I only messed up one word. How come a woman never tells her age and a man never acts his? That's tough to say. ACTS-HIS is tough to say.
Spell it again, because I still don't get it.
He never acts his age. He acts
his age.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Changes the whole meaning when you get it right.
Yeah, it's not bad, but 6.9.
Okay, good enough.
I like his first better.
All right, Bud, drive safely coming back. We'll see you when you get back.
Sounds good, Les.
Thanks.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, same here. Great as always. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Mr. Gullible, to Devin and Concord. Who else? Whoever else joined us, we appreciate it very much.
Brian.
Who?
Don't forget Brian. It's his birthday.
And Brian, happy birthday, Brian.
Again.
Again and again and again. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow night with Daryl Ryder. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.